Hey guys, today we're going to be doing a video on this pistol right here. This is a Glock 32 in 357 SIG. This is actually the first Glock pistol that I ever bought. I bought it back in college when I thought 357 SIG was really cool, and I guess it is. I still enjoy shooting it, but I think 357 SIG has kind of peaked and is waning in popularity, and I don't imagine that it'll be around in any meaningful capacity in the future. So it's still a pretty cool gun. You can still find ammo for it, and if you reload, you can still reload it. That's actually not a whole lot more expensive to reload than 9mm, although the reloading process is a little more involved. If you have seen my TSG 22 conversion kit, you will recognize this frame. This is the frame that I run that conversion kit on, and the rest of the time it rides on this 357 SIG. So if you're familiar with the 357 SIG, you know that it's the same platform basically as a 40 caliber. It's the case size is almost the size of a 40, neck down to a 9mm. I believe that the round was they actually used the 10mm case when they developed it, because if you take a 40 and neck it down to 357 SIG, the case isn't quite long enough. You can use it that way. I don't know how safe it is, but you get a shorter neck on a cartridge that already has a very short neck. So if you're not familiar with the 357 SIG, this is the round. It looks a little bit like a mini rifle cartridge. All the ammunition is loaded with flat front 9mm bullets, as opposed to the round nose ones that you're used to seeing, because that short neck needs all the help it can get to hold that bullet. And a round nose bullet, usually the ogive of the bullet will sit beneath the top of the neck, so it won't give it full tension. The barrel that I'm running in this gun is a Lone Wolf AlphaWolf barrel. So this is the one they sell that has these little flutes in it. My particular one is threaded, and it has this black coating on it. You can see that I'm running a compensator on this barrel. This is the KE Arms short thread compensator. You'll notice that it doesn't exactly fit up with the front of the slide. I have a long thread compensator from KE Arms on my Glock 19, and when I get my silencer, when I get my 9mm silencer, I may end up taking that comp off, and it may find a permanent home on here because it would fit a little better. This comp was actually bought for a Glock 17 that I did, and it slowed the ejection down so much that it was hitting the front glass of the dot that I had on that gun. So I took it off of there, and I put it on here because 357 SIG is actually kind of a perfect host for a compensator, because what you want with a compensator, or what it works best on, is a round that's high velocity. It works better on the hotter stuff, especially 9mm. They don't really, 115 grain stuff, light plinking loads don't really activate the compensator. They work best with the plus P or the heavier bullets that produce a little more gas. That's kind of what activates the comp. And in the 357 SIG, you've got a bunch of gas, a bunch of blasts, so the compensator is really able to tame that down quite a bit. But this gun, actually, I have 3 barrels for it. I've got a 9mm conversion barrel, and I've got a 40 caliber conversion barrel. It's actually, this gun is what made me decide that I really don't like to shoot 40 caliber. I got the 40 barrel, I tooled up to reload for it, and I shot a bunch of 40, and I don't enjoy shooting it. I'll probably just I don't know that I'll sell the barrel. I'll probably just squirrel it away, and this will probably just stay 357 SIG until I decide to put all the 9mm parts in and run the conversion barrel all the time. I'll probably eventually get a threaded 9mm barrel and just make this a Glock 19. Like I said, 357 SIG it's cool, but it's probably going away. I've considered sending this slide out to get it milled for an RMR. It might make a pretty cool pistol to hunt with, because 357 SIG it's a pretty effective round. It's no joke, but there's not really much it can do that plus P 9mm or even plus P plus 9mm can't do. So it's been cool. It's still kind of fun. It's kind of novel, but if I had it to do over again, I'd have just bought a Glock 19. But anyway, the frame, like I said, we didn't really look at it in the 22 conversion video, but this is my home stipple job. You can see it's not the prettiest thing ever. It's just kind of these frames are kind of slick, and I wanted to try my hand at stippling, and I don't really care how pretty my guns look, so I gave it a shot. I also did these little accelerator cuts on the side that lets you get a purchase with your thumb forward while you're shooting. You can really get a good purchase on that frame to control recoil. I'm pretty happy with it. I didn't stipple the sides just because I don't think you need stippling on the sides necessarily, especially if you're going to carry it. It's not going to tear your clothing up if you keep that kind of slick. And front and back are really where you're applying pressure with your dominant hand anyway when you're shooting. So I like the stipple. I might try some other guns in the future, but this was just kind of to get used to it. But that's kind of the story on this gun. We'll take it out and shoot it a little bit. And let you guys kind of see how it works. One other thing about the 357 SIG cartridge, I mentioned that I reload it. The only additional step you really have to do over a straight wall pistol cartridge, and I guess you don't have to do it if you want to lube cases, but I don't. So what I do is I run a 40 caliber carbide die. I run it through a 40 caliber die once to size the straight wall portion, and then I run it through the 357 SIG die to bump the shoulder and size the neck, and that way I can run it through without any case lube at all, just like a normal pistol cartridge. So that additional step of running it through the 40 caliber die is really all it takes. So if you wanted to load this on a progressive, if you have a 4-station progressive, it's not a problem at all, but I personally load 9mm on a 3-stage Lee progressive press. It's just a cheap press. So for me, if I wanted to set this up to load it progressive, I'd have to run them all through a 40 caliber die first before I load it on the progressive press. But anyway, just wanted to throw that in there for you guys in case you reload. That's really all it takes. You can use standard 9mm bullets as long as they're flat front or hollow point. I buy the Berries. They have 357 SIG specific bullets that are what they call not double strike. They call them thick plate. Since the velocities on the 357 SIG are higher, you need a little more copper jacket or coating on a plated bullet if you want to use plated bullets. So anyway, all right, guys, out here on the range with the Glock 32. One thing I was going to mention is that there's a difference between the followers and the magazines on the 357 SIG and the 40. And they've had several different iterations of followers. If you look on here, there's a number 3 on the front of that follower. I've had this gun in several different configurations, from the 9mm conversion barrel to the 40 barrel. Some different guide rod configurations, and when I bought this threaded barrel and decided to swap it back over to 357 SIG for good, I went out and got fresh springs and the newest generation of followers for all my magazines. And I've ran this gun with and without the comp. It's not the most reliable Glock I've ever had. I get some failures to feed. I don't know if those are magazine issues or what. I find that hard to believe because, like I said, I refreshed the magazine springs and followers. But it seems to happen both with the comp and without the comp. So if those don't sort of line out, if I can't find a solution, I'll probably end up converting this gun to 9mm full time, like I mentioned. But we'll shoot it out here. Maybe we can see some of those failures, maybe not, but do a little shooting and let you take a look at it. Okay, that's it. Glock 32. Had some failures. The last two magazines ran perfectly. This last magazine is actually for a Glock 33, which is a full-size pistol. When I carry Glock 19, I always carry a backup Glock 17 magazine. If I carry this thing, I'll run it the same way. I'll carry the full-size magazine as a backup. I'm going to definitely shoot this gun quite a bit more before I feel comfortable carrying it. If there's an issue that I find as to why it's been having some malfunctions, I'll do a follow-up video on that. But anyway, that's it for the Glock 32. Not too bad.